Hey everybody, Chris from Grest here. So a little bit different type of a video. I wanted to go through some of the tools that I use on a regular basis for putting together specifically AR-15 rifles, but these tools can also be used for some other purposes as well. So the first one I'm going to start off with here is the magnet tip screwdriver set from Brownells, and they sell these in a bunch of different configurations with different types of screw sets, bit sets rather, and different types of handles. Very awesome set. I highly recommend it. I've had this one for quite a few years now, and I also get some cheaper sets as well, but this is really a premium, especially if you're working on different types of rifles or firearms on a daily basis. So again, set that aside. The next tool that I believe is instrumental in doing anything firearm related is some sort of a torque wrench. I prefer the fat wrench from Wheeler. Again, had this one for quite a while. Here's some extra bits that I use for this guy. Of course, the bits from the Brownells magnet tip screwdriver set also works on here. But this thing, they do have a digital version, but the analog version for me works a lot better. Anytime you can minimize the amount of things to go wrong, the better off you are. But basically, you just twist this knob here and it sets the torque that you need in inch pounds up to about 65 inch pounds. So this is again very instrumental in doing any sort of torque values when you're mounting like scope rings and stuff like that. Any sort of rifle or firearm, not just the AR-15, but really useful tool. These run about $50 or less if you find them on sale. Okay, the next tool, which is for sure AR-15 specific, or actually AR-10 as well, is some sort of a vise mounting block. So this is for the upper receiver, and this is actually made by Nomar, and it's made for the AR-10 upper receiver. However, I modified it to also work on my AR-15 upper receiver. So you can see here, these pins go through the takedown pin holes of your upper receiver, and then you can mount this on the vise of your choosing. Now this piece actually would go on the rail, so if you needed to mount your receiver this way, you could mount it that way. The other tool that I find very useful for AR-15 work specifically is some sort of a lower receiver vise mounting block for the magwell. And so this one here, as you can see, it's had quite a bit of use over the years. I even broke a piece off there. I don't know how I did that. Probably dropped it against something or whatnot. But many different manufacturers. I don't even remember who makes this one. Most of my tools though I've gotten from Brownells. The next tool, which kind of goes along the lines with a receiver, is mounting into a vise, is some sort of a reaction rod. Now they make these of course for AR-10s as well as AR-15. This is an AR-15 one, and this one is made out of steel, and it is kind of coated in like a nitride coating or something like that. And it has a flat, so you can mount this into your vise and it will hold it steady. A lot of these are totally round. I think this one is not a Brownells one. I can't remember who makes this one. However, the Brownells one I believe is round all the way down, but it's easy enough to mill a flat on there if need be. So this is very helpful for whenever you're torquing down a barrel nut or a muzzle device of some sort. This locks into the receiver extension and holds it in place. That way you're not applying that high torque level to your receiver, potentially cracking or breaking it. The next tool here is some sort of an armorer's wrench. So this is a USMC armorer's wrench. I did get this from Brownells, and this is for torquing down a couple different things, muzzle devices, and it's very heavy steel, and you can mount your torque wrench onto here, and it has the wrench in here for a barrel nut, different types of barrel nuts, and again, have had this a long time. It has served me well. Another cool tool that I've had for a long time, and this I can barely read who it's made by. It's actually a Hammerhead rifle tool, and I think you can still get these online, but this thing is really cool. It has a couple different types of connections here for a 3/8 drive or 1/2 inch drive torque wrench, and then this guy here is for doing that pesky castle nut on your receiver extension. So the nice thing is that this has very sharp edges to bite into that castle nut and without slipping, and it has a really nice handle that you kind of grab with your hand right here for torquing that thing on and off. And of course you can add a breaker bar if you're loosening, or a torque wrench if you're trying to torque it down. So this is made by Hammerhead Tools. I think these are about $50, and again, I've had this a long time. It has served me very well. Next up is a set of roll pin punches. All right, I have no idea who makes these, have had them a long time. It's a cheap set. And I also have a homemade front takedown pin, detent, and spring installation tool. Okay, so you slide this through the lower receiver hole, and then you put your detent and your spring through the hole in the end with a punch, and you kind of rotate this around, then you butt up your takedown pin against this and you push it through, and then it will pop the detent into place. So really cool tool. I got this at an AR-15 class I attended many years ago. I think back around 2009 if I remember. So a homemade tool, works great. I think there's some of these out on the open market you can just purchase though. Pretty cool tool. And to go along with the roll pin punches, a Starrett set of regular punches. So these also good for not just AR-15 type stuff, but any sort of gunsmithing or fine work. These do occasionally break if you're applying too much force, especially the thinner ones. I have broke these a few times and had to replace them. Matter of fact, I think I have a broken one sitting right here. So here, this is what happens if you're not careful with your punch. But they're I think for the set, I want to say they're around $50 for this particular set, and you can replace the punches themselves for about $10 or so a piece if you in fact break one of these. Next up is a gas block assembly fixture, and this is a really cheap one from Precision Reflex. This I did get from Brownells. As like I said, most of my tools I tend to get from there. But how you use this is you put your barrel with your gas block on there in this kind of jig here, and then it has a roll pin starter tool here that you kind of get that pin started. And anybody who has installed a roll pin and a gas block knows exactly how aggravating that can be sometimes, but this tool works pretty good for kind of just resting that thing in place to get it started. And here, going along with a gas block installation, is I have a dimple jig. So this is for a .750 journal barrel, gas block journal, and of course they have different distance settings here. So you line this up with the gas port, and then on the opposite side you use a drill bit and you kind of dimple your barrel. So a lot of people, there's pros and cons. They say you don't need to do this with the set screws, but I always do it just because it's a little bit of added security. This is made by SLR, but there's quite a few manufacturers of these dimple jigs. And then kind of last but not least, I would say a good set of go no-go gauges, or even a field gauge. Okay, so I know a lot of people say that your chamber and your bolt from your bolt carrier group all fit together perfectly. However, there's always the possibility that you have a problem with headspace. So it's always a good idea to check with a good quality set of Headspace gauges. So I have one for 5.56 NATO, and then I also have a set for 223 Wild. So those are the two chambers that I use the majority of the time. I also have a Headspace gauge for my 30-06 rifles. All right, so that about wraps it up. So I appreciate you guys coming along. Just kind of wanted to share some of the tools that I use on a regular basis for mostly building AR-15s. However, also for doing some other general gunsmith stuff. I am not a trained gunsmith. However, I'm pretty deep into doing gun builds and stuff, and have a good bit of experience with these tools that I showed you here today. So these tools, however, I accumulated over a very long period of time. you know, you can drop a lot of money on tools, and every time I see the need to purchase another tool, and there's other tools I have, these are just some of the more common ones that I tend to use on a regular basis. And yeah, so if you want to get into building ARs, these are some tools that I definitely recommend. Tell me down below if there's some other tools that you find useful that you use all the time. I know there's a ton of people out here that put ARs together, and they're kind of like Legos, a lot easier to build than, say, an AK-47, for example. But I do enjoy building them and showcasing them and learning from you guys, and you know, just kind of learning as I go and trying different things out. So, all right, appreciate everybody watching and subscribing, and I will catch y'all in the next video. Y'all take it easy.